Hey, welcome to Captive Audience. It is the middle of March. Don, glad you
It
can be here. It's wonderful to see you.
it is wonderful to see you and wonderful Wednesday and middle of the week and middle of the March. Here it's going to be 70 degrees this weekend. That's pretty amazing, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I'll tell you, I've got little flowers popping up, crocuses, and I see in
Hmm.
other areas around here, I'm seeing oh, I don't know, some other flowers coming up. The name just escaped me what they are, but anyway, so it's nice to see spring is springing, and I'm really glad that it's going to be nice sunny weather since I have to go over to the coast this week, coming weekend, and so that'll be nice, not rainy.
Yes, that'll be awesome. I'm jealous. I'd love to go to the beach. I always love going to the coast. It's my favorite
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll tell you, yesterday was the deadline for filing to run for office. That was it. The cutoff, was done, and now we have some surprising to me, for sure, some candidates that filed to run for office, and I mean I met the deadline. So I'm posting a link to this from the Oregon Catalyst, and so some that I was surprised to see is Oregon State Senator Brian Boquist announced he's running for state treasurer,
Mhm.
and he will be running against Jeff Goodman, who already filed. And what's interesting is Brian Boquist started out as a Republican, then he changed to independent, but he caucused with the Republicans or didn't caucus with them, I don't know. And now he's refiled his to be a Republican in order to run as a Republican for the state treasurer on the Republican ticket. Funny how politics works, you know.
Yes, it is.
It's very funny how politics works. And um, Earl Blumenauer's vacated seat has got people
Wow.
10 people running. Now, I don't know all of their party affiliation, although, well, I've got another article here, maybe. Nope, I don't. I
He was
had
there
another
for like, what,
article, but I
50
don't.
years? He was there for like a long time.
He was the career politician. And
Yeah,
for me, I'm done with career politicians.
yeah, yeah.
Truthfully, we need to. It was never designed to be a lifestyle
Hmm.
and an enrichment either.
That either. That's true.
No, no, it wasn't. So what else was came up is Dennis Linthicum, State Senator Dennis Linthicum, who it has been determined cannot run for reelection because of our senators walking out. He has announced his run for Secretary of State.
Hmm.
And I frankly think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think that's great. We have a good candidate running for Secretary of State. What else we have is Christine Drazen is actually running for her old House seat.
Hmm.
Um, but it surprises me that she's doing that because she's running against the incumbent, James Hyde, who is a Republican. We have that. So it's too bad she didn't run for something else. That's my opinion.
Hmm.
I think that there are some people that are not happy with him,
Hmm.
but I'm for having some change, and I think that's a good thing. So
Hmm.
I don't know what it's not my district, and I don't know, but I think he's probably been doing a pretty good job. Four people have refiled. Four Republicans filed to run for, which that's not new news.
Hmm.
Oregon Senate District number 29, that is being vacated by my senator, Bill Hansel.
Hmm.
And I'm doing the four-part series, of which I've done two of them for the candidates that are running for Senate District 29.
Hmm.
And So what is interesting is Congresswoman Lori Chavez DeRemer has endorsed Drotzman, and which she doesn't live anywhere in the district at
Hmm.
all. So that's like sticking your nose somewhere that you shouldn't be.
Hmm.
And Congressman Cliff Bentz has endorsed Todd Nash. So of
Hmm.
the four people, then we have Jim Doherty and Andy Huey, Dave Drotzman, and Todd Nash. Those are the four candidates that are running. And well, anyway, there's a couple there that I like, and a couple that, anyway, I'm still doing the interviews. And anyway, well, I'll talk more about that later on.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have Redmond School Board Chair Michael Summers has jumped in at the last minute to run to replace Senator Tim Knope.
Hmm.
And so that is our Republican choice for Tim Knope's seat. I'm not over there.
Hmm.
And for Congress in Valhoyle, we have Monique Despain
Hmm.
and Amy Ryan Corser. And Amy Ryan Corser is been run for many, many, many times. And Monique Despain, I think, would be a great position, a great person running for the fourth congressional district seat. I really, really do. She's raised some good money, and I think that would be a really great choice. And in number 6, which is Andrea Salinas,
Hmm.
who is a Democrat, we don't want her.
Hmm.
Their Republican challenger is Mike Erickson, and he narrowly lost in 2022. So I think he would be a good, easy one to flip that seat. Where David Russ, he's filed also for the Republican primary, and I don't know who he is. I do know who Mike Erickson is. And I'm going to say Mike probably has a little more name recognition. And unfortunately, there are people that will just say, I like the looks of that person.
Yeah.
Oh, I recognize that name. Yes, I'll vote for them. They don't do any research and
Hmm.
really look at that. But that would be so there's some surprises. I had no idea that Dennis Linthicum was going to run for Secretary of State, and also Brian Boquist for
Hmm.
state treasurer. Although I don't know Brian Boquist. I know Jeff Goodman. He's also
Hmm.
running, and he's a former Lake Oswego city councilor.
Hmm.
But the new one is of course Brian Boquist.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Well, that's a lot.
Well, it is, and yeah. Yeah, Monique, I think is doing. I'm looking at the comments now. Yeah, we've got to get some changes happening there. There was another story that was in the Oregon Catalyst about both Brian Boquist and Senator Linthicum
Hmm.
on there. So it is. We'll have to see how that comes out. But what we don't want is a Democrat.
Hmm.
Okay, so it is support the Republicans, support who you think will best represent you,
Hmm.
and especially with the senators. If they're the only Republican, then vote for that Republican. But also, you can check their voting record.
Hmm.
And
Sure.
unfortunately, Jeff Goodman, he ran on the Republican ticket before,
Hmm.
and now he's running on a Democrat ticket. And so, and I know him from when he ran on a Republican ticket, and maybe he thought, this is my speculation. I had to have no inside knowledge, but maybe he thought he would have a better chance running as a moderate Democrat.
Hmm.
You never know in this state,
Right.
right?
Sure. Yeah. Whatever I got to be to get elected.
Well, that's
That
it.
doesn't
That's
sound like the
it.
principles are too solid. There would be my observation. Hey,
Yeah.
what do I know?
Yeah. So, another interesting story that I came across today was apparently, and I didn't know this until I was looking for some different articles, but Tina Kotek this week has said she is scrapping the plans to toll I-5 and 205. And I go, whoa, great news. Now, this is in Oregon Catalyst or Oregon
Mhm.
Watchdog, and Oregon, it's from the Oregon Taxpayer Association. And I'm going to post the link there.
Now, I hate to be the cynic here and think that she's doing that because she knows that's if there's any one issue that would kill your candidacy, that would have to be it. There's probably a couple other things that will fall into that realm, but that'd be the equivalent of like getting rid of Social Security at the federal level, right? I mean, everybody would hate you for that.
Well, I don't know. I really like the fact that she's
Mhm.
scrapping the plans to toll the highways.
Oh,
I'm
I,
not,
I do too.
yeah.
I just don't believe she's serious about it. I mean,
Well, I think
what
you
I think
could be,
is,
I think you could be correct with
I
that.
think, yeah,
And
this is good.
also, OPP reports
Hmm.
that transportation leaders say they'll be looking at the concept again next year. She
Oh,
didn't
sure.
really mean it,
Yeah. So what this means is, as soon as the election's over, she'll be in favor of it. That's what this
right? And
means.
but the thing is, but the interesting part in this story is the state has spent 7 years and $61 million building this up
Yeah.
to happen. And it hasn't been passed by the voters.
Yeah, the unelected
It's the
Appalachian.
legislators, but the voters are trying to change it via an initiative, a petition. I don't know if they'll get enough signatures.
The
And
bureaucratic state wants it. I mean,
absolutely,
that's what they want.
those people, like here, Julie Brown, the chair of the Oregon Transportation Commission, said in a statement that I believe it should be one of our tools. Well, she says, while I believe tolling cannot be the only tool to solve our challenges as steward of our state's transportation system, I believe it should be one of our tools. Well, you know, I think we should be building some more highways. And I've seen, living now, on the East Coast, they have a whole lot of tolls. On the West Coast, we don't have too terribly many, but a lot of tolls have been, some tolls, I'll say this, have been privately built.
Hmm.
They've not been a state agency has done it. It's like a private contractor's come in and gone, I want to made a proposal. I want to do this and run this and I'll maintain it and whatnot. And those things have happened.
Yeah, they have them in Southern California too. I mean, I
Yeah,
was down there, and they work beautifully. Um, but the point is, you have to always understand with these people, the objective is not to help you move from point A to point B. The objective is to keep you from moving around at all. I mean,
that's exactly
you
right.
have to always understand that they're saying what they think you want to hear, but their objective is to keep you from moving around, or at least your freedom of movement will be at their discretion. That's the objective.
In Oregon, that really is the objective because, we've got I-5 corridor that is still 2 lanes in each direction. And there's room for expansion. They have built the bridges, so the span is wider and they could be expanded more lanes. Adding a third lane would be quite convenient, and but no, they're not into doing that. When you go into Southern California, that's a people moving area.
Mhm.
They
Yeah,
want to move people.
and so
And when you are, imagine if they're going to toll a highway without adding more lanes to it, then what's that going to do? That's just going to cause congestion.
sure, yeah, well, and I can't imagine them giving up control. We're talking about a private contractor. They hate private business.
Yeah.
Um, so I just don't have a lot of trust. I mean, in theory, personally, I like the idea of tolls. I just don't trust these people. I mean, you use the right way, tolls could do a great job of getting people off the roads at peak hours, for example, people that don't need to be out there. I mean, it could be done well, but not these people, because their motives aren't in alignment with what the public wants. Um,
Yes, and so and the headline on this article says leaders defy Kotek plan to stop polls. Well, or tolls, not polls, tolls, excuse me. And I'm going, well, yeah, if she scraps the whole plan, they're out of a job.
of course.
In fact, she actually told them, go look elsewhere. Go look at other things that we need to do within the transportation department. And they're going, oh no, we're going to be this, we're going to keep pushing on that. Well, next session is a long session.
Mhm.
And yeah, I don't think it's going away by any means.
Yeah, no, I mean the fact that I don't think it's being seriously. It's been brought up. I don't think it's ever been seriously taken. That what Portland needs is an outer loop. Every other major city in the country will do this to take the truck traffic off the main drag through the city. And you'd
Yeah.
have an outer loop that will go from, say, roughly Woodburn around the eastern side up across the river at like, uh, not as far as Hood River, but, east of Gresham,
Hmm.
east of Washougal on the Washington State side and connect up north with the 5. Um, take all the pressure off Portland, but they're not interested in that. Um,
No, they aren't.
yeah.
And we don't have diamond lanes here either.
Mhm. Right.
Those are very convenient. When
Mhm.
you've got more than two people or more in your car and
Mhm.
you get a diamond lane, when have been down in Southern California or areas that those exist, and
Mhm.
I have the appropriate, people in the
Mhm.
car, I take advantage of those. That's
Well,
handy.
it's kind of hard to have a diamond lane when your main interstate has 2 lanes.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Unbelievable. It's incredible. I mean, you go to
Yeah.
places like Tri Cities and they have 3 or 4 lanes. You go right through the heart of Portland and I-5's down to 2 lanes. It's unreal. It's unbelievable. It's been going on for like what, 60 years?
Well, that's the thing. They're not growing for the expansion. So, to your point, it is to stop you from moving around.
Yeah. They,
And
they want
Oregon is going to be the great bottleneck, I guess.
they
I
might add
mean,
a bike they might add a bike lane to that though.
oh gosh.
Or pedestrian bridge so you can
Oh
stop your
my
car.
word,
You can
right?
pull over on the one side of I-5 and walk across the river, I guess, or ride a bike. That's.
Oh, Don, you're going to make me roll my eyes now.
Well, they spent what 40 or 50 million to build a pedestrian bridge in
Oh
Portland at a
my,
time when the economy's
yes.
in the toilet. It just blows your mind at the decisions that liberals will make. Well, they did that over here on the Vancouver side. They built a bike path across. I think it was across the 205. I can't remember how many millions of dollars this thing cost. And I'm a cyclist. I love cycling, right? But there's hardly anybody on that thing. Um, if you're among the 15 bicycles that ride across it a day, I mean that's wonderful. But is that a you got to think about the average. Is the average taxpayer benefiting from that? The answer is clearly no. It's just terrible decision making. I do understand it, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
not my money, so I can spend it. It's always easier to spend other people's money.
Well, it is, it is. When you're signing the front side of the check, it should be, it's a little more, you're smarter with it, smarter with it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of like agencies, there is another agency that I'm going to post this, and it has to do with the DEQ here in Oregon. And this story is out of the Bend Bulletin. And it is the editorial board's article today. It says, why does it have to be hard to get drinking water data from DEQ? So, a county commissioner, Deschutes County Commissioner, asked for a version of the, what the levels of their drinking water is. Okay, so right
Hmm.
now, the DEQ, there's a lot going on about nitrates in well water, and so it's it could be a threat to public health and the environment in southern Deschutes County. And so a Deschutes County Commissioner, Tony DeBon, asked a version of it to representatives from the DEQ
Hmm.
and he wanted to know what's going on and the concerns of the nitrates that are leaching from septic systems and shallow groundwater tables, little rainfall, and whatnot.
Hmm.
And so when they asked about it, originally, apparently, let's see, the DEQ said its concerns are reinforced, but its most recent well testing data, it brought up the data in a letter to county commissioners, and Commissioner Patty Adair mentioned wanting to see it. So
Hmm.
when they asked, DEQ originally said the data included samples that exceeded the federal government's maximum contaminant level. Well, let's see, where's the data, right?
Hmm.
And in it later told us that no, it did not. So when they asked for the data, they made a public records request on February 19th for the most recent data, received it on March 11th, and it talked about how many wells that were tested and whatnot, but there was no analysis
Hmm.
in that. So yes, we're going to give you some data, but no, there is no accompanying analysis. The spreadsheet had some 60 domestic wells that were tested in the spring of 23.
Hmm.
And apparently the department will provide that later after further sampling. That's like bunk.
Who knows?
When government leaders, county commissioners, are asking a state agency for information, they should hop to and give it to them,
Hmm.
no matter what the information is, or no matter how damning or good it might be.
Well, that whole idea of public servants, they don't. The government doesn't work for us. We work for the government. That's the mindset of the people in government anymore.
Yeah. So, they just
You're,
don't
yeah,
have an answer yet in this.
you're not a
And,
citizen. You are a subject.
oh, God. Well, you got that right, unfortunately. Unfortunately. So, going a little internationally now, I don't like being a subject like that. I feel like I have the right to have the data. Don't you, Don?
I do, but it's a throwback to King James, and that's what leftists think. That's how they think. They want to tell everybody what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Uh, Here's a story out of CatholicNewsAgency.com, Catholic News Agency. And, Don and I talk about some controversial things on our program. We kind of tend to like to do that. And we're trying to bring things to your attention that maybe you just don't know about. Well, England's National Health Service ends the puberty blockers for kids.
Yeah, I think that's really significant that their national health agency, and these health agencies tend to be staffed with some real left wingers, right?
Yeah.
But they've come to the conclusion that at the national level that these things are destructive for people, and there's a really credible source that can be used in this country to look at and say maybe we ought to be doing the same.
Yes. Well, there's some countries have said, you know what, this is not right, and it's trying to, and they're starting to turn it around,
Hmm.
and because they're seeing what's happening. So actually, right now, doctors in England, as of yesterday, can no longer prescribe puberty blockers to children to facilitate a gender transition, and they're not going to be available at all
Hmm.
because they've found some issues with them, and
Well, I
it
think
does go ahead.
well, there's no data. I mean, take the morality piece out of it and just speak strictly from a data perspective. These things have not been studied. The first one is when it comes to women of childbearing age and minors, we've always erred to the side of being ultra conservative. In fact, most scientists won't do studies for ethical reasons on those two groups. So you take that aside, and you realize we have no data on this. And what near term data we do see ain't good. I mean, the suicidality rate with these people is like through the roof.
Yeah.
So just from that perspective alone, we have no business giving puberty blockers to minors. Now, after you're 21, I still think it's dangerous. I mean, there's lots, and you can make this argument too. There's lots of things that you don't get to do just because you're over 21. you, but having
True.
said that, definitely not kids.
Yeah, definitely not. And you're exactly right. They're citing that there's not enough evidence of safety and clinical effectiveness. And the thing is as a child, there's a there's a fabulous book, and it's called Secret Life of the Brain. I
Hmm.
read this book many, many years ago, and I still have it. It's a coffee table size book, and
Hmm.
it talks about the different stages of a child's life, and but just a human's life, and your
Hmm.
brain development. Just like bodies go through growth spurts, your brain does the very same thing. And by
Hmm.
about the time 25, it's reached its maturity and things. It's developed.
Hmm.
So it is interesting to that we don't have there not we but there isn't the studies, as you said, of what are the implications. I've
Hmm.
heard that it stops emotional development,
Hmm.
and it alters a child's mind so that it's not going to be the same as if you weren't on any puberty blockers at all as a child growing up.
And
And
boy, and when you start dealing with things central nervous system related, once you damage nerves, they're really tough to like recover from that. And this is all experimental stuff. Um, so to be risking irreversible damage, it just doesn't make sense.
no, no, it doesn't make sense. And you are absolutely affecting this person's life forever. So, I think this is a move in the right direction, and I would like to see the United States do that. And there are some states
Hmm.
that are doing different actions, and I, I hope that continues. I
Yeah, and I
hope
hope
that
this will help.
continues.
Yeah, it'll help more ethical doctors find their voice and speak up.
Yeah,
You're not alone. You can speak up. You can say, no, this is wrong.
yeah, yeah. In fact, tonight, as I was making dinner, I was listening to Newsmax, and the fellow who was talking said that there is more suicides because some people are defending
Hmm.
this gender affirming care to help stop suicides among kids
Hmm.
that are having gender issues. And he said, actually, it's proved that there's more suicides on those that are having gender affirming care.
Yeah, yeah. It's the
So,
craziest argument ever. Somebody says to you that I'm gonna commit suicide unless I get to do this. Well, that's a person who's like irrational from the beginning.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Kids one day, oh, I hate that person. The next day, oh, they're my best friend. I mean, that's part of growing up, right?
Sure. Right. Right.
That's,
Yeah. And we're in an age that just feeds. Gosh, what? So think about this for a minute. This is just again, there's just noodling this around, right? So I think for kids, the most important thing is be really important to somebody. I mean, everybody needs to be really important to somebody from the age of 0 to, let's say, 12, 13 at least. If that doesn't happen for you, you're probably going to have a very difficult life. And so this is happening at the same time as we have fewer and fewer kids who come from functional families. So families are focused on other stuff. They're not focused on the kid. Then you have this. You have the single mom thing, and even if she's a great single mom, she's still a single mom. She's like, I'll get a job. kid can't be front and center for her, right?
Yeah.
So you have those issues going on, and then you throw in the internet where everything's all about where can I get attention? Well, I can't get it at home because mom and dad aren't there, but I can get it on the internet, right? And you're probably not getting it from the most positive places out there. How many likes can I get, right? If I don't
Right.
get the right number of likes, now I'm suicidal. And this is all happening with that emotional turmoil that comes, that's a natural part of being a teenager. This is like a soup, a recipe for a mess, and that's precisely what we're getting. And suicide rates now are higher than they've ever. Then you layer around COVID, where we're going to lock you in a house and throw a scarf over your head for a year. Um, I don't think it's any surprise that
No,
we're seeing this.
no. Well, earlier, we were talking about agencies not providing information, and we were talking about an Oregon state agency. Well, our own CDC. Here's a story out of PJ Media, and the CDC releases 148 blank pages on the
That's useful.
COVID vax myocarditis after a FOIA. So they released their findings, and it was all blank, 148 pages of it.
Yeah.
Then to me, that's criminal.
Hmm.
I mean, how do you do that? And so after Trump wins,
Hmm.
but even before Trump wins, we need to just defund the CDC.
Well, that might have really been the amount of research they put into it. So maybe they were being honest.
I don't think so because the VAERS is,
I'm
is
trying to give them
showing
the
a lot of
benefit of the
stuff,
doubt.
right?
I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt here, Sonny.
Don. So, here's another agency that's going, you know what? I don't have to tell you Jack.
Sure, because you're subjects, not citizens.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So every single word on every page has been redacted.
mhm. Wow.
Nothing to see here, folks. We're not going to tell you.
Well, I tell you,
We're not going to tell you, but by golly, this is approved.
if the citizens ever get a real look at what our own government did to us, man, I don't know. It might be ugly.
We need an inquiry, a serious, serious, serious inquiry into this, and
Hmm.
not just the United States, because that's probably not where it will happen, but like another Nuremberg inquiry into, what went on. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Economically, unfortunately, things are not doing real well despite what Biden says. And now we have a dollar ain't what it used to be. The Family Dollar as shuttering nearly 1,000 stores across the United States.
Wow. And that's the store where you get things for the least amount of money.
Right. You do. And, there was one in our town. It shuttered. And then we ended up with a dollar, I think it's called Dollar General,
Hmm.
which has popped up all over the state of Oregon, but all over in my county, Umatilla County, they're in like every single little town is a Dollar General store. I don't know if this is the replacement, but
Hmm.
I kind of figure it's the Chinese store.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
try not to go in there if I can help it. In fact, I
Well, I
think I,
saw where, and talk about an exhibition of economic ignorance. So Biden, a few weeks ago, was blasting fast food restaurants and other stores for reducing the size, the quantity of what you got, and keeping the price the same, and then saying they were like stealing from the customers. It's like unbelievable. I mean, so you cause major inflation, and then blame the manufacturers or the people who make products for the problem that you caused. It's just incredible. But what's happening here is for the at the lower income, you can't afford extras anymore. So pretty much you got to cut back on all of these other things, which explains why things like Dollar Tree, even like fast food, which used to be a luxury item for people who want to go out to eat, but they can't afford to go to a 2, 3, 4 star restaurant. So you go to McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, whatever it is. And now those places are too expensive. Um, and if you look at just the regular grocery bill, I mean, that's
Yeah.
gone up significantly. And I don't think it's been 5, 10, 15% either over the last 4 years. It's been as high as 30%. Um,
Yeah.
that's just
It's
my look at my thumb and look out the window. So now you're cutting back on all kinds of stuff, not to mention the luxury items, which you might have viewed as a luxury item even at the grocery store. So maybe now you're buying less steak, which of course is what they want anyway, or less beef, etc. Right?
this is a
You're
less
dealing with it.
another uh option for a family to go shop at. It's loss of jobs. It's loss of more product in your community that you an option of going and buying. You know, I see this shrinkage happening all around, but I was surprised. I kind of, dollar Family Dollar, I
Mhm.
figured they were doing pretty good. Although
Yeah.
ours that we had here in our town, so they're going to shutter the ones that are not doing as well, which is probably why they shuttered the one in my town,
Hmm.
because it had that was I would there were certain things I really liked. They had, like, you ever need those plastic tablecloths for
Hmm.
events, and
Sure.
party supplies and things like that. They were had great stuff. I mean, that's where I would and go
Yeah.
and get them. And now I don't have that option in my town.
Yeah, and those entry level jobs, that means people that would have gotten those entry level jobs don't get those
Yeah.
entry level jobs. They don't get the training that they need to move on to the next level. Those people who are moonlighting, who are maybe moonlighting, so they can earn an income fast enough, faster they can make a down payment on that first house. Those people are like, nixed from this. It's all designed to hurt the lower class and the middle class, which is what the left wants. So you can become more dependent on the government.
Yeah, sad but true. Sad but true. Well, our military training is taking a hit, and I ran across this in Red State. West Point updates the Venerable Mission Statement, and it disgracefully removes duty, honor, and country. That had been in the mission statement since 1998.
Yeah. You got to read to them what they replaced it with.
Okay, so here's is the updated version. To build, educate, train, and inspire the Corps of Cadets to be commissioned leaders of character, committed to the Army values, and ready for a lifetime of professional excellence and service to the Army and nation.
Well, that's really inspiring and memorable. That's the first thing. The second thing you notice, the one word they omitted for that for sure is country. This is that
Yes,
this is that one world government action.
they also omitted the United States Army, because
Mhm.
in the other version, basically, they took out duty, honor, and country, and they want your character, the commissioned leaders of character committed to the Army values, not the values of duty, honor, and country.
Well,
And then they want you to have and prepared for a career of professional excellence and service to the nation as an officer in the United States Army.
well, the whole
So
thing is
it's
about eliminating our national story. If I eliminate your
yes.
national story, I eliminate who you are. In a separate story, and some of you out there may have heard about this, that iconic photo of the GI kissing the girl in Times Square to celebrate the end of World War II.
Hmm.
The head of the Veterans Administration had made a ruling that that photo can't be shown anywhere in the VAs. Now there was a gigantic outrage over this, and they were forced to put it back in. But the mere fact that something like that could have came, you can't have that photo. Now, when you think about Americana, there's certain things that are just classic, and
Yeah.
we all know what they are. When you see them putting the flag on Iwo Jima, right? That's
Hmm.
like we know that, right? Um,
Yes.
there's certain photos that just we know that when you see a picture of Martin Luther King in front of Abraham Lincoln at the Lincoln Memorial giving the speech, you know that. Um, when you see Kennedy at the Brandenburg Gate, or I'm sorry, Reagan tear down this wall, right? There's
Yes.
things that, or Roosevelt giving his famous speech, "This day will live in infamy." These are things that are part of our national story. And when the left attacks those things, that's not an accident. They want to eliminate our national story, eliminate our national culture, eliminate our national identity, and replace it with this communistic one world type government. And we have to resist that kind of stuff. It might seem small and little, but these people, everything they do has a strategic reason for it. And this is one of them.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Gosh, I just realized it's getting darker in my room, and this light's on. I'm like turning yellower and yellower. Really, I'm not jaundiced. I just looked and I go, wow, I'm like really getting yellow over here.
The
I have
sun is
blonde hair,
setting.
but come on.
Well, you are east. Let's see. No, no, shit sets sooner over here, right? East, west, sun rises. I went to public school, so you kind of forget where the sun rises and sets.
Well, that's because it's already passed over me, see, and
Yeah.
it's coming to you.
There you
All
go.
right. So anyway, you're right. It is about globalism. It's not
Yeah.
about nationalism. They want to shut down that national narrative. They want to
Yeah.
shut down
Hmm.
love of country and
Hmm.
patriotism.
Yeah. I saw a
And
story where it was some high school back east where the kid had the flag on his truck, and they told him he couldn't have his flag in the truck.
at
Um,
his school,
at a
yes.
school. Now they went and got that overturned. But the fact that they even came because the flag might be offensive to some people.
Right. In fact, they said they made that ruling, and the next day, all these trucks came. The students said, oh, no, we're doing this. And they brought their flags on their trucks, and that was the end of that. But,
It's
on a good note, I've read several states, a few states, I don't know several, but a few states have said, and even cities. In fact, Huntington Beach was one of the most recent stories I saw that only the national flag will be flown at all, our United States flag will be flown at all public properties. It's no rainbow flags, no anything else. It's going to be
Huntington
that.
Beach did that.
Yes, Huntington
Wow.
Beach did that. And there are other states that have done that as well on private property, not public property, but on the state owned or government owned facilities. That's your schools
Mhm.
and whatnot. So all
Well,
is not lost, even though we
yeah,
have give you some different
yeah.
news. There's good
Well,
news out there too.
so Orange County still got some backbone. It's in California, but it is Orange County still. So
Yes.
that's cool
Yes.
to
Well,
hear.
Orange County is a pretty conservative county, truthfully, and Riverside County
Yeah, yeah.
as well.
They haven't rolled over that part of that county yet. So that's nice to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. So, one last good news story is that, and I just posted it here, and it is, if you hadn't heard, the uh, the racketeering case against Trump. The judge has dismissed 6 counts because the DA did not give them enough time to legally defend themselves, build the case for a defense. And so, we'll see what happens, but I think this is a good thing, that anything that has to do with Fannie Willis falling apart, we'll see what happens. We'll see how this whole thing plays out.
It's so unreal that someone of such low moral character,
Yeah.
and not to mention competence, could be leading such a case. How desperate can the Democratic Party be to even allow that to move forward?
They're
Thinking,
desperate.
yeah, that's pretty bad. Talk about a black eye. But what can you say?
So we'll have to see what the rest comes out of this. But you know what? I think that's good news. That's 6 more. Could that come back? I have no idea. But
Hmm. Well,
Okay, so we've been told a couple times to check out the Missouri v. Biden case, and I'm not sure about what that one is. So,
yeah,
okay.
I don't know that one either. So, okay.
All right, everybody. Hey, listen, thank you for joining us tonight. And Friday's episode, actually, I have recorded already for Friday because I'm going to be traveling. I'm going over to Coos Bay to a Republican Party State Central Committee meeting to elect our national committee woman and committeemen.
Hmm.
So I'll be traveling and not able to do captive audience. So I had someone who, and his name is Raymond Akers. He's running for House District 57, which is my district. And so I had him on today, interviewed him, just met him a few weeks ago, and happy he's running for the district. And I hope you like the interview, check him out, and spread the message. Spread the message around. Don't forget to share this. And just thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next week live.
Good night, everybody. It's great to see you all.